Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto podcast. With me today is Tiffany Fong, who's no stranger to the show. Tiffany, it's great to have you back on.
Nice to be here. Oh.
Well, Tiffany, last time we spoke, it was all about Celsius. And then lo and behold, Sam Bankman-Fried decided to contact you out of the blue. You guys had pretty good conversations. He was very open with you. Where do things leave off with you and Sam, and what do you think about his arrest?
So I actually contacted him. So he didn't randomly DM me, but I'm sure that everyone was contacting him at the time. So I really wasn't expecting him to get back to me. And it took him a few days. So I was caught very off guard. Um, but yeah, he responded and he allowed me to have a phone call with him. Um, but where did we leave off? I hadn't spoken with him since I released the audio. That was pretty much right before his big media tour, which was quite unexpected.
That was something.
Like in our last phone call, he had told me he was going to ramp up communications a bit. I just didn't expect him to be ramping up that much. So that was kind of my last chat with him. And then he did a lot of other interviews. And yeah, now he was in Fox Hill prison. Now it looks like he's being extradited to the US on Wednesday. So that's certainly an update.
Yeah, it's crazy how things have unraveled, and speaking with the folks at New York Times Dealbook, now straight to prison, huh? Crazy times we're living in. But look, he committed the crime. He got to do the time. So, was he upset at all with you sharing like the audio of your discussion, or he knew like you would publish that?
We discussed the fact that I would publish the conversation in some form. I didn't specifically say that I would do audio, but we had it wasn't like he didn't think I was going to share anything. We discussed it, and he was going on and off the record, and I made sure to exclude anything that he specifically said was off the record so that I could, stick to some sort of framework. But yeah, for a while I was tweeting about it, but obviously I'm not like a big publication and I am not even really a huge influencer or anything like that. So when I was tweeting about it, I got a lot of pushback about it being fake, like that I didn't really speak to Sam because it was quite random. This was before he had agreed to do any other interviews. So just tweeting about it, I feel like half the people didn't really believe that I spoke with Sam. So it was difficult to think of another way to verify that we had actually spoken other than using the audio.
Sure.
So yeah.
Wow. It's just wild. Once again, he came, to you. Well, I know you contacted him, but he chose you before he went on his big media tour.
Yeah,
Crazy stuff.
it was shocking. It was shocking. Um, yeah, he expressed some qualms with like mainstream media and stuff like that. So yeah, it was shocking to me too, though, that he spoke with me.
Well, I mean, you did a great job interviewing him, and you got a lot out of him, and he seemed comfortable. So,
I didn't have any questions lined up. Like I think I briefly posted about this, but yeah, at the time when he contacted me, it was past midnight in New York,
wow.
and I had been getting home from a couple of drinks. Like I was not prepared for the phone call. It was like nearly 1 a.m. So I wasn't prepared. I was a little bit tipsy, and yeah, it was very out of the blue.
Now, a lot of folks at Celsius had shared information with you about what's happening in the company. Has anyone from FTX or Alameda reach out to you with information?
I've actually spoken to one or two, not as many as Celsius because I've been doing Celsius for a lot longer.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've spoken with a couple from FTX and Alameda. Yeah.
Have they anything you can say or disclose?
I think I'd have to double check with them
Okay.
before sharing anything because I haven't posted about any of that stuff publicly. But yeah, nothing that would be some huge newsworthy bomb and nothing that's particularly substantiated. Some of them had expressed suspicions about things, but nothing that is substantial with hard evidence. So yeah, nothing that would be factual enough to share at this point.
For sure. Let's talk about Celsius. So you've been covering Celsius for a while. Last time we spoke about some details and things that were shared with you. anything new that you would like to discuss, or can share? And do you think folks will start seeing some of their funds unlock maybe in 2023?
It's tough to give a timeline because everything's been moving so much more slowly than I anticipated. I mean, it's been several months into the bankruptcy. I think, what is it, 6 months now? And not a lot has changed in terms of like being closer to seeing our money back. But I mean, I guess the biggest step has been the bids that have been coming in. And I did get information on that from someone that works at the advising, or what is it, the advisory company that is
Sure.
consulting Celsius. So I do have some information on bids. Uh, I was asked not to share specific details about any of the bids, just so as not to disrupt the bidding process. But I did tweet the other day what I was able to share. And that is that I do have reason to believe that Binance, I tweeted at the time, will place a bid, but I do have reason to believe that they have placed a bid on Celsius's assets. Will they ultimately be the winning bid? I can't say, of course. So I don't even know exactly if that would be made public if they don't end up being the winning bid. But I do have some information that leads me to believe that they have placed a bid on Celsius's assets.
Yeah, I've heard some other companies as well. I think even Ripple's CEO at one point mentioned something. So it seems like a lot of
Yeah,
different folks are trying to grab up as what they can.
yeah, I was sent information about a few different bids actually. Ripple wasn't one of them, so I mean, maybe that could have been omitted. I'm not sure, but I was sent a few different pieces of information. So I'm aware of a few bids that are in. So it seems, I guess that's vague enough to say that there are
Sure.
a few bids on the assets, and not all of, like, some of them include things like equity, et cetera, for example. So they all are quite varied in how they're structured.
Sure. And then just recently, Binance US, they announced they were going to acquire Voyager. So it looks like Binance making multiple moves here, but
Yeah.
if they're able to get these companies and restore the funds to the users, even if it's just like 80% or 90%, that'd be really great.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it seems that uh, I think their bid was for about $1 billion for Voyager's assets, and then an additional $20 million,
Mhm.
which I need to double check if some of that would be allocated to customers. But yeah, honestly, not the worst deal. It sounds similar to what FTX was doing when they were initially buying Voyager, where they were buying the assets so that they could be withdrawn from the platform, and then I think that they also offered $50 to every customer. So it didn't sound ultra dissimilar to FTX's bid.
Hmm. Now, there's been a lot of FUD and fear and people still concerned about the contagion of the FTX collapse. And Binance is getting some of that FUD, right? Are they insolvent? It's like a kind of a mini bank run that took place. Are you hearing anything about Binance, or you think that's just once again just like FUD?
Um, I have actually gotten a couple of messages about Binance, nothing with hard evidence, but people who say that they believe that Binance is going to have problems. But obviously, without hard evidence, it's not something that I would take ultra. I think that it's important to be skeptical of all centralized platforms right now, but I wouldn't make any statements about Binance without any hard evidence. Um, but yeah, it's something that I need to look into more. I've had my hands full with Celsius and FTX right now since there's so much going on. So every once in a while I get messages about Binance, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit later because there's just a lot of stuff with FTX and Celsius right now.
For sure. Yeah, and look, to their credit, a lot of crypto was billions of dollars were withdrawn from the exchange, and they are okay. And good thing, CZ has been communicating as well, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to circle back to Alex Mashinsky. He seems to be getting off scot-free in this situation. You think he's going to get held accountable in any way?
I think he eventually will. I,
Mm.
I hope, and I've heard some whispers about that, but nothing that I can speak about. But
Yeah.
I think and hope that he doesn't get off scot-free. And all of the insiders involved that were making all these fraudulent withdrawals. Um, I hope that the withdrawals are clawed back, and I hope that we see some consequences for his actions as well as the insiders. Because yeah, I hear a lot about S. Daniel Leone as well. He was another co-founder, but there's not as much public information on him. But a couple of employees have told me that he's also incredibly problematic. So I hope
Mm.
that they see some time or or at least some sort of repercussions.
Were you having like some sort of Twitter spat with Alex's wife and she blocks you or something?
Oh yeah, that actually happened after my first audio leak of the Celsius internal all hands meeting, where she accused me for hacking into their Zoom and Google systems.
Oh man.
And I was like, Christy, if I knew how to hack Zoom and Google, then I would have my coins back. So yeah, we had a bit of a public spat in, I think that was September. I've been blocked ever since then, but she still continues to post about me frequently. I think someone sent me, she posted about me today. So
Wow.
that's fun, but I'm blocked. But
Hey, I
I do
mean,
really
look, she's only giving you exposure, and then people come to you and they see the facts that you have, right?
I mean, I would say I strongly dislike her. So, I mean, the thought that I'm getting under her skin is sort of amusing to me.
Yeah,
So,
right. It's funny. Yeah, she doth protest too much, right? With the fact that she blocked you
oh,
and
yeah,
still talking about you. Uh,
completely agree. Completely agree.
Um, BlockFi. I saw you post something about BlockFi because there looks like they will be able to enable withdrawals for wallet users.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
So it looks like they filed a motion to enable withdrawals for wallet users. And just to be clear, the BlockFi wallet is separate from their BlockFi interest earning accounts. So I think in terms of for Celsius customers, I'd say it'd probably be most similar to Celsius's custody versus Celsius's earn, where the BlockFi wallets don't technically retain the title of ownership to your coins, whereas the interest accounts are a bit more muddy waters in terms of who actually owns the coins.
Mm.
So, but even Celsius, I don't think has gotten close to returning coins to custody account holders, even though they don't technically have title to the coins. So I think it's really impressive that within only a few weeks of Chapter 11 bankruptcy, BlockFi has already filed a motion to return those coins. I think I applaud BlockFi and Zach Prince for working speedily through that process to try to get some money back to customers.
For sure. Yeah. I'm just hoping, I can't talk today, but I'm
No,
just hoping all these companies that had, collapses, bankruptcies, folks are able to get their funds back and we can
yeah,
get some resolution to all of these things.
I hope so too. And hopefully BlockFi's Chapter 11 bankruptcy is a bit more straightforward because it doesn't seem like there was any nefarious activity. I mean, as far as has been made public. So hopefully that's more straightforward. For a bankruptcy like FTX, where there's so many different companies involved and there's potentially criminal activity and all that, I think their bankruptcy is going to be exponentially longer than any of the others so far. So the longer it takes, the more funds that are going to go to lawyers and just basic operations, etc. So I am worried for them. Like that bankruptcy, it seems like is going to take several years, maybe even a decade. I don't know. Like, yeah. So
Um,
that's concerning.
yeah, hopefully not that long.
I hope not.
So Tiffany, I know you didn't start off as any type of crypto influencer, but let's face it, the content, the folks came to you, so now you are a crypto influencer. Are you planning to build your content platforms out in 2023? What's your plans?
Yeah, I didn't like when I first started posting about Celsius, I really didn't have plans to turn it into much. Like I posted my first video just venting about the fact that I'd lost a lot of money to Celsius. I honestly didn't think anyone was going to watch that video because I had 0 subscribers in when was that? June? I think it was the end of June. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. Um, I had 0 subscribers at the end of June, and then a few people watched that video, which I was not expecting because I was like, how are people even finding this video? um, but yeah, that got more traction than I initially thought. So yeah, then I just started posting updates from there about the bankruptcy, and then it turned into like it took this turn into exposing things like
Yeah.
which I wasn't posting videos asking people to send me insider information or anything like that, so I wasn't expecting it. It's certainly been fun and enjoyable to do. So all of this has been unexpected. So I didn't have a plan from the get-go to even take it in this direction. So I'm kind of just taking every day as it comes. If I stop receiving information, then I guess that'll no longer happen. So yeah, I'm kind of taking it day by day, but it's certainly been very fun to grow and share and everything like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you certainly are doing great work in helping to keep some of these folks accountable, who, once again, they defrauded people and folks want their money back. So you can be an outlet to bring this information, what's happening, what's going on. That's really great. And you
Totally.
got my support and my subscription. So
No, thank you so much. Like, I think a lot of it is about transparency because I just remember being a creditor with Celsius and for weeks not hearing anything from the CEO and not hearing about anything about what was happening with our coins. So if I'm able to receive any information like that and am able to share it with other people, I just know how relieving that is as someone who has money in a platform. Um,
Mhm.
the opposite is the case for FTX, though, since Sam wasn't really silent. So people heard a lot from Sam rather than Mashinsky. But yeah, it's been exciting, I guess.
Final question here for you. Are you still bullish on crypto? Or are you still going to invest in crypto?
At this point, I still am holding quite a bit of crypto. I Yeah, I invest here and there. I'm not like dumping all of my money into the market because who knows
Right.
if we could see lower prices. I
Right.
guess the wisest advice is always just to dollar cost average into the market. And obviously, prices are drastically lower than all time highs. So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad time to buy it all. Um, but yeah, I'm mostly just holding. I'm certainly not selling anything at these prices. So, I'm a long time holder of crypto and I'll probably just continue to hold and hopefully we see new highs eventually.
For sure.
Not expecting
Yeah.
that soon.
Yeah, yeah. Next year, with we're in a macro bear market with the Fed, and I think next year, first half at least, we're not going to see anything. Second half, I think market's going to start picking up, but new
That would
all-time
be nice.
highs, I think, after the next Bitcoin halving.
Yes, that would be ideal. I hope so. I hope that trajectory isn't ruined. I love the Bitcoin halvings.
For sure. Tiffany, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me again.